It is my favorite time of the week. It's client interview time. Today I'm interviewing Luke, one of my clients. He joined us when we launched EasyGrow 3 months. That's three months ago. Thought I couldn't count for a second ago. Luke's got a pretty interesting story. He went from about 10K a month to 60K a month over the course of 3 months. So throughout the interview, I'm going to explore basically how he added $50,000 in new monthly revenue to his agency. I made a slight slip up throughout the interview where I referred to his growth going from 10 to 50K a month. He actually later corrected me saying he went from 10 to 60K a month. So I thought he added 40 grand in new monthly revenue. He actually added 50. So it's like 600K in new yearly revenue off the back of just one investment in EasyGrow, which I think he means got a pretty bloody good ROI. I'm pretty sure. But either way, I want to welcome you to the interview. Throughout this interview, I'm going to be asking Luke questions about how he used the program, what systems he used. He's also going to drop some knowledge on how he's built his agency and how he now has changed his mindset to do so. I'm really excited for this one, and without further ado, let's take it away. Also, he shows his calendar. It's very exciting. Let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another client interview for the channel. Today, I have the wonderful Luke, friend of mine, client of mine, who's been working with us for, it's been 3 months, I think, Luke? About three?
Yeah, right around 3 months. So
About
February.
3 months. Now, this is a bit of a special one because on these client interviews, typically we're looking at adding like 10, 20K in monthly revenue, which is pretty awesome to do that in 3 months or so. But Luke kind of thought, screw that, I'm going to go a little bit above and beyond. And he went from 10K a month to 50K a month, basically did $40,000 in new monthly revenue, or, roughly 500K a month per year. Sorry, not a month. That'd be cool. Per year in revenue to his agency. And in this video, we're going to talk about how EasyGrow helped him achieve that. For transparency, the purpose of this video is obviously to encourage you to schedule a call and buy from me. Just want that to be out there because Luke knows how I operate. This is obviously a sales sort of thing, but also I think it might give you some idea as to how to do that yourself. So Luke, why don't you take a second just to introduce yourself, a bit about the agency, who you serve. And also, guys, Luke is going to show you what his calendar looked like before and after the program, which is also, which is pretty good. So take it away, man.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, my name is Luke Salela. I own Luck Agency. So yeah, we originally started around 10K, and after working with Charlie, we're now around 18 to 20 clients, depending on just deposits. So that'll put us right around 50K a month in added revenue since when we started. And yeah, the way we operate is a little bit different in the real estate niche, I guess you could say. We charge pay upfront retainer. So we're right around like 2,500 to start. And then, yeah, we just work off a guarantee, obviously, all that good stuff. But that's kind of a little backing on how we operate. And we work with real estate agents. So run Facebook ads for them, book appointments, all that good stuff.
So talking of appointments, let's see a calendar. So Luke showed me this before we started the interview. He said, here's my calendar in like February. And you can see it.
So
this is January, February.
So this was January. Really had no idea what I was doing. We were booking about probably 10 to 15 appointments pretty much the whole month, unfortunately. And then same thing in February. Jumped in February, started working with Charlie. And then this is what March looks like. Getting a little better here, trying to book around 30 a week, but weren't quite there. And then April really cleaned up to an extent. We were booking probably about 5 to 8 calls a day, give or take. And then, yeah, May, same exact thing. Last week, we had a little bit of a slow week, but we just picked up again this week, and we're already booked it up next week.
And just to let everyone know, Luke, am I paying you to say this?
We're not. No, not at all.
So that's, we haven't seen the calendars before, but we'll talk about this because Luke's used a couple of systems from EasyGrow to basically achieve this, most notably the outbound systems. I think just 2 of the 15 we've got or something. So Luke, let's start with the genesis of this journey. So you mentioned before the interview, you'd been burned before, you'd bought a high ticket mentorship. Obviously that comes with a lot of trust issues. And why don't you talk to people about how you were before you joined the program, where you were at in the agency, the struggles, everything, and we'll sort of build it up from there.
Yeah, 100%. So full transparency, I had 10K a month on like a pretty big pedestal. So when I hit it pretty quickly. So the thing with that is I immediately let off the gas because I thought, okay, so all the gurus, everybody on YouTube is like, you got to hit 10K a month. And then I hit 10K a month, and it was probably the worst thing that ever happened to me, which sounds crazy, which is the opposite of what everyone else says. But the issue is as soon as I hit that 10K a month, my systems were really inconsistent leading up to it. So I was booking, like I was showing you guys, probably 10 to 15 appointments a month, cold calling maybe 1 or 2 times a week, and then sending probably 100, 200 emails a week. Now, kind of fast forward, we're booking, obviously, like 30 calls a month or 30 calls a week. And the biggest thing there is just the consistency changed. So I had a moment that was a very like a reality check, like I was telling Charlie. And the past program that I took, they put no emphasis on service delivery.
Mm.
So that was one of those things where I really didn't have a lot of help in booking new appointments, and then I had no help with retaining clients.
Mm.
So when I went and looked for, I guess, a better mentor, a better path, I saw Charlie was very heavy on service, was very heavy on obviously booking appointments. So that's kind of where that decision came from. And especially with the past experience I had, I was very hesitant at the beginning, and then just more client interviews like the one we're doing now.
Yeah, they work
Which is
wonders, man.
yeah, Lucas was one of the best ones. And then yeah, that was just one of those things where I was like, you know what, I will take the chance. And then just a lot of it was accountability, especially from everybody in the course or program, and then also the cost and all of that. And yeah, I think that was really the, I guess you could say, a pivotal point in terms of where we're at now.
Shout out to Seb, sales rep, wonderful
Yeah.
guy.
Okay.
So you'd seen some client interviews, you've been burned before, you got to that point where 10K a month, either you achieve some comfort or basically you just like it's inconsistent. So you seem like a very, I can imagine, because I didn't speak to you before, but I can imagine you're a very different person now. Do you want to touch briefly on the mindset shifts and the paradigm shifts that happened as a result of the content and going through the program?
100%. So I think that is actually the most important part of the whole entire program, because I didn't realize I was kind of, I don't want to say I was not 100% bought in on the whole mindset until I really got into it, because I used to always hear mindset is everything. And I was kind of like, yeah, I know you got to put the work.
Everything, surely not.
Yeah. Yeah. It can't be the whole thing. And that was truly 100% transparency. That was the part that was really missing, because the issue before is I was doing things and I didn't know why I was doing them. So I would do like an 8-hour day in the office, and 4 hours of those were spent on YouTube watching like guru videos on how to do certain things. And I was like,
Sorry
at the
about
time, I thought, yeah, and at the time I was like, okay, I'm actually doing something, I'm productive. And then I look at my calendar, I'm like, okay, I have no appointments booked. I have no pretty much revenue coming in. I barely hit 10K a month. And then after going through the mindset training, self-transcendence, all that good stuff, really the biggest thing I learned, which I think is priceless personally, is just self-awareness. So now I know, okay, like I'm extremely like there's certain times throughout the day, I know everybody has them, where I'm like, okay, maybe I could just take an hour here and watch this video, or
Bit of
20
Game
minutes
of
here.
Thrones can't hurt anyone in the
Okay.
afternoon.
And then now I realize, okay, that compounds. So if I spend 10 minutes here, and then I spend another 20 minutes here, and then I spend another hour here, before I know it, a third of my day or a quarter of my day is spent watching YouTube when I could be doing outbound.
Dude, I think you just
So that
called
was,
out basically everyone watching this.
yeah. Oh,
Stop
exactly.
watching YouTube, guys. Stop mentally masturbating to success
Yeah.
and just start doing some work. So now you're doing 50K a month. You've added 40 grand in monthly revenue. Tell me how, I don't know about you. The lifestyle change between 10 grand a month and 50 grand a month might not be that significant, but would you mind touching on like how that has impacted you, like how you feel? I'm sure you feel pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. The biggest thing I would say overall is just the kind of the mindset going into it is now I went from very inconsistent, like, okay, I'm afraid of losing clients. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get another client, to now I'm in a position where really with a lot of it was the self-transcendence and just know, okay, I'm self-aware now. If I know I need to be putting in more time, let's say Monday or Tuesday, to make sure I have appointments booked Thursday and Friday, I know I'm capable of that. So a lot more comfortable, not comfortable, but I would say a lot more confident or more convicted, just in the product, the service, all that good stuff. And then really just my ability to produce and book those appointments so I can get new clients and all that good
I
stuff.
love it, man. So you talked about appointment booking. Are you still doing the appointment booking, or have you got people in place, SOPs and stuff from the program?
Yes. So one of the biggest things that I actually learned from the mindset training was ego. So I had a very, very large ego. I'll be transparent. Leading up to this.
Anyone that says they had a large ego doesn't
Yeah.
have a large ego anymore because they recognize it. Carry on.
Yep, 100%. And that was really what was holding me back. I had a mindset that I don't want to say I'm too good, but at the time I thought I was too good to cold call. I thought I was too good to get rejected on the phone, all that kind of stuff. And like you were talking about going through the pain and the fire, that was what made the biggest difference. It's just me getting on the phone calling. And yeah, at the beginning, before when I was calling, it was terrible. And then after I started learning proper scripts, all the type of stuff you were teaching, it made a huge difference, because then it went from I'm just getting rejected all day long to, oh my gosh, I'm actually booking appointments.
Yeah,
So
it's like,
big
oh,
difference there.
it's kind of
Yeah.
like it's kind of worth it. So you're doing the sales calls. So are you still doing cold calls yourself, or do you have people to do it for you now?
Yeah, yeah, I still do everything. So
Yeah.
I personally want to cold call all the way up to 100K a month, potentially 200K a month, just because I think that's like the most humbling experience.
Mm,
And right around 40% of our, well, yeah, 40% of the closed clients we have now have come from cold calls.
mm.
So I think a big thing there is just like an extra personal connection that I wouldn't normally get with a cold email, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
makes sense. What about the other 60%? Where have they come from?
Cold email.
Oh,
So
from the looms or?
no, so I did a hybrid of the Loom and just like a cold email copy with the
Hmm.
offer and all that. And then, yeah, that was kind of how it started. And then we just been building it up over time. And now we're going kind of a more mass approach, right around 300 to 400 emails a day.
Cool.
Yeah, that's made a big difference.
Dude, 30 appointments a week. You can't argue with that, man. It's amazing. Do you
Yeah,
take all the sales calls yourself?
I do. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't stop, man. I love it. I bloody love it. So 50K a month at the moment. What is next for like agency? What do you want to do next?
Great question. So right now I've been reinvesting most of the money just back into the product, because I think that's a big thing that's been missing, at least with all the other people that I've seen on the internet. You were one of the main ones who actually talked about product. And I think that's the most important part, product, service, all that, because the worst feeling I ever had was losing those clients at the beginning. So, and that was one of those things where I think everybody's just so worried about selling, selling, selling. But when you lose 50% or 75% of your business because you have a bad product,
Yeah.
it ruins the whole experience. So that was one of those things where I've been religiously just trying to figure out a way to build a better IT team, build better ads, build better systems in place. That was one of those things where I took a lot of cues and hints and a lot of information from you guys' follow-up processes and
You
all of
know,
that.
it's interesting, man, because well, there's 2 points there. First, what you just said, um, when like we teach acquisition, right? And what people don't realize is you can take the lessons that we teach in acquisition and apply that to your service delivery. Like people think service delivery and client acquisition are these two different things, but realistically, if you're doing marketing, service delivery is client acquisition for another business, so you can apply it. What else was I going to say? I was going to say something else that was quite important, but it's like just completely skipped my mind. Um, and that's it. So through the program, because you talked a lot about the mindset training, how much of the mindset stuff, what do you think the percentage difference is in terms of the result? Like, would you attribute the mindset training to like 75% of the results? Because this is the thing, like, guys, if you're watching this and you want to buy EasyGrow, I need you to do the mindset training. So I want to like get everyone to do it because it's like completely life changing. But yeah.
Yeah, I look at kind of now I look at everything in more of like a systemized approach, which I learned
Mm,
from you,
mm,
which I'm very, very thankful for, because everything to an extent, at least I look at it, is kind of like an input and time and then output.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, let's say a good example is cold calling. Let's say you cold call 2 hours a day, you do 100 calls an hour at a 1% ABR, appointment booking rate. You'd book one appointment, or yeah, one appointment. And really, just the biggest thing there is previously I would think like, okay, there has to be something that's wrong if I'm only booking 1%. But I didn't know how to diagnose that issue. So the mindset showed me how to diagnose that issue. And I'm
Mm,
like, okay, well, maybe I need to change my opener, or maybe I need to change my tone or my mindset around cold calling. And then I changed that. And then I got to a 5% ABR. And now I'm booking 5 appointments an hour from cold
yeah.
calling. So I
I
think
think
that's one of those things where,
I really think that like 80% of client acquisition is paradigm. It's just the way, if you can
yeah,
learn to think scientifically and think critically and make good decisions, like realistically, you are most people are probably 5 or 6 great decisions away from having enough appointments. But they don't make them because they don't know what to do or how to see it. They just look for the best copy or the best scripts or the shiny object that basically helps them, but it doesn't help them because their mindset's sort of out of place. I'd like to know this, Luke. So why did you start your agency? Like, I don't know how long ago you started, but what was the motivation for actually beginning in the first place?
yeah, great question. It was actually an Alex Hormozy interview, which is pretty
Oh,
crazy.
really?
Uh, yeah, all about. I don't want to like mess up the whole. He has a whole like way of saying it, but pretty much the main idea of it is just opportunity boat. And I was originally a real estate agent. Obviously, you're going to be locked in on location. You don't really have location freedom, financial freedom to an extent as well. And
Mm,
I kind of looked at it. Okay, so I'm already using a good amount of these systems in place as an agent, And really the biggest thing was just me wanting to be in a position where I have full power over what my, I guess you could say more so life or business at least looks like. Because there is a lot of factors in that industry that you don't have in this industry.
Yeah, of
Whereas
course.
you could pick up the phone today, cold call, and you could have a client by the end of the week or by the end of the day.
Mm.
Whereas real estate, you're looking at 30, 60, 90-day timelines. So a little bit of a difference there. Obviously, they all have their benefits and I guess you could say positives and negatives to an extent. But that was really the biggest cardinal, I guess, change or
That
idea.
makes a lot of sense. And when you started, did you think you'd be at 50K a month as fast as you have been? Like, did you ever think that was going to be possible?
Yeah. So kind of going back to it before, I like to say the ego kind of like got me in the door because I always looked at it as like, okay,
As it does
well,
for everyone, dude. People
yeah,
start SMA because they're either angry at themselves or because they have a huge ego. And there's nothing wrong with either of those two things, but yeah.
yeah, 100%. And I really think the ego is like the best thing in terms of getting me like my foot in the door. And then I had to humble myself to be able to actually reach that goal. So I
Yeah.
think that was one of the biggest things where, yeah, at the beginning I was kind of like, I think I can do 50K or 100K a month. I had a very limiting belief on like what those numbers were.
Hmm.
So like I was telling you before, I had 10K on a pedestal.
Hmm.
It was like insane to me. Like, holy, oh my gosh, I could actually hit 10K a month. And then I hit it and I was like, okay, well, this isn't really that bad. And
Yeah,
then,
well,
yeah,
this is not all
yeah,
it's made out to be. I think people who it's very easy to fall into the celebration trap where like, oh, I want to get 10K a month, I want to get 10K a month, I want to get, and then you get there and then you're just like, I've made it.
yeah,
And then like you think about it, it's like, dude, you're doing like six figures. When you minus expenses and stripe fees and tax, you're probably only actually bringing home like 5K a month, which isn't that impressive. So like, but it makes sense.
yeah, that was a big reality check after that
Hmm.
first month.
Do you think 10K a month makes like you unstoppable? It means you can buy anything you want. It really doesn't. Like you finance one
No,
nice
not.
car and that's it, you're done. So
Yeah, and I think the biggest mindset shift that I've got from like you in particular
hmm,
is really just that everything to an extent I want to say is in your control. Just because really,
yeah.
like I was talking about, just the input is the most important part. Because previously, I really looked at everything as kind of like a, I don't want to say luck, but I was like, okay, maybe I'll book an appointment today. Whereas now I
Yeah.
look as, okay, I'm slacking today. I need to be putting in another hour or 2 hours of cold calling at minimum. I need
Hmm.
to make sure all my emails are going out. I need to make sure we're converting at the obviously range we want to be converting at. And I think that's one of those things where previously I was just so, I guess, unaware of
Yeah.
how that works.
People really struggle to distinguish like the cause to effect. Like they think that like business success is just like this weird thing that just like randomly strikes people and like, oh, I booked an appointment. Oh my God, I'm so lucky. But it's like, no, like every effect has a cause. You just have to look. And then if you know what the cause is, you can repeat the cause. But either way, so my favorite part of the interview now, and I'm going to ask you to sell my thing for me. Dude, in all seriousness though, if let's say someone was in your position where they've been burned by a previous mentor or lack thereof, basically, which is the problem. They're thinking about Easy Grow and they think, do you know what? Like, I'm just sort of on the fence. Like, what would you say to them? What sort of advice would you give to them? And what was your
Yeah.
thought pattern going into it?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing is if you're going to do it, and I would highly recommend it, obviously, like look at my experience.
Really? Like,
I would say, I would say you have to look at it from a standpoint of like, what can I really do? Get in here and like get tactical with it.
Hmm,
Because I got overwhelmed. I'm not gonna lie. At the beginning, I was like, all right, there's
it
so
happens.
much information here. Like, where do we start? And I think the best thing ever was just starting with the mindset, because
Hmm,
then a lot of that kind of, I guess you could say, it fills in a lot of the pieces mentally that you may potentially be lacking previously.
yeah.
So like at the time, I didn't realize, okay, maybe my ego is getting in the way, or maybe this is happening, or I'm not spending
Hmm,
enough time on this. And then
hmm,
from there, I was able to utilize all the information I learned and then kind of just blow everything up. And it was a very quick upward trend
hmm.
just because of the information you have in there. So the scripts and all that
And
good
I want to
stuff.
make one thing clear to everyone watching. Luke has worked really bloody hard. Like the program is obviously part of the reason why, like that unlocked the ability for him to get 50K a month. But the reason he's there is because of him,
Yeah.
right? Because you can give the program to 1,000 people, and 900 of them who don't do the work won't get results. So if anyone is thinking about joining this, like I don't want you to look at Luke and think, oh, I can get to 50K a month in 3 months. Well, that'd be easy. Like it's not easy. I'm sure you've been through some bloody hell to make this happen, man. The program shows you what to do, but what you have to do, I must admit, is not very fun. So I just want everyone to be aware of that, because I'm sure the person who burned you before and sold that poor mentorship told you it was going to be a walk in the park. And well,
yeah, it was a very big, just like very easy. Like you'll hit 10K the first 3 weeks or whatever it was, or first month. It was pretty unrealistic.
Usually, dude, I mean, this is why I love these interviews, because usually, like, if someone's coming into the program, like, I always say to them, dude, it's probably going to take you like 6 months to hit 10K a month. Like, especially if you haven't got any previous experience, like, it's going to take a long time. But in your instance, where you've already had some business experience, you're doing 10K, all you need is just the right decisions, and then bang, and it just, like, you know, it's like, I would liken it to this. Like, if you already have an agency that has a couple of clients, it doesn't have to be 10 grand a month, but if you're doing like a couple of grand a month, the hard part of starting an agency is lighting the flame. You know, like when you're on, like, you see like desert islands and they're trying to like light the fire. They spend most of their time lighting the fire, but as soon as they've got a little flame, then they can just put shit on, which is what you've done here essentially. You've been kindling the flame prior to coming on board with us, which is why you've blown up so fast. And I don't want anyone who's watching this who doesn't have an agency yet to think they're going to get randomly to 50K a month in 3 months, because it doesn't work like that. You know, you've got to build foundations first. But either way, in the spirit of transparency, Luke, that's everything, all the questions that I had for you. I am so grateful for all your hard work and your commitment to the program and coming on to do this. I lose touch sometimes with these client interviews, because I do quite a few of them, and then I sort of sometimes forget, like, oh yeah, you were doing 10 grand a month, now you're doing 50 grand a month. That's like a huge change. So congratulations. Anything else you want to say? Anything that people can find you? You got a personal brand or anything? What's going on there?
Yeah. If you guys wanted to reach out to me, you can reach out to me on Instagram or through school in the group. Luke, Luke, Salela, Salela. Just cool. All one word or one.
See, guys, he is a real person. He's not a paid actor, I promise you.
Yeah, I can contest to that.
Couldn't pay for the enthusiasm, man. It wouldn't work. Luke, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thank you, Charlie.
Cheers, brother.